Hey, what's up, everybody? And I want to tell you a tale about a 10% webinar conversion rate for a $2,500 product. I mean, wouldn't you really want to cut your arm off or something like that? I bet you would. But what are the real numbers that matter, to be honest? And I was actually quite surprised. And in case you wonder, yes, they are out there. But today I want to talk to you about webinar conversion percentages. And I was asked recently to solve an issue or to look at something by a coach who is already doing very well. I mean, she is in Russell Brunson's 2CCX program, and that thing that costs $25,000 per year. It's very good, but you know that if you can afford that, you already have achieved a certain level of success. So I was called in by this coach to look at her sales page of her webinar funnel to see what could be improved and if we could lift like her sales. And when you do a funnel audit, at least when I do a funnel audit, I never take anything for granted. I always look at the bigger picture because in many cases, what people think the problem is usually isn't. And in this case, I was told, yeah, the webinar is fine. It's converting at 10%. Well, I mean, let's look at that. And in a minute, you'll find out that it isn't really exactly the full story and even slightly wrong. And there's a lot of room for improvement on this 10%. But before we go there, aren't webinars dead? Isn't that what everybody is saying? Well, not everybody, probably those people that are trying to sell you their solution, like their new thing. But before you get distracted by the next shiny object, let's look at this fact. Webinars convert like no other strategy. They are that good that they are the cornerstone of elite coaching programs. And I'm going to take the first thing away here to show you what is inside the linchpin. And let me see if we can zoom in a little bit. Yeah, there we go. I'm getting seasick. So this is the linchpin, which everybody in 2CCX or Russell Brunson's elite coaching program is being trained to do. And as you can see, dramatic demonstrations take front and center in there, even two. And a dramatic demonstration is either a challenge or a webinar. Now, I'm not going to be able to explain in this short video the difference between challenges or a webinar, but they're equally converting very high within this module. Though this is not something that you should dismiss. Whatever Russell is teaching and talking about and pushing, you better pay attention because he's one of the original pioneers of online marketing. And if you ask my opinion, he's a genius. So don't dismiss webinars. If you're not doing webinars yet, they are pretty easy to set up in ClickFunnels 2.0 now, and they're not really that intimidating. And if you have a course or a service like coaching, if you have anything like that, then webinars are really the way to go. I can't really go in all the deep details and explain the whole linchpin funnel, but rest assured it's front and center, and it's even that important that Russell Brunson is making this his signature speech or signature program for the next funnel hacking live. Okay, so enough about this. Let's talk about this 10% conversion rate and what I found. If I can find the delete button. So the 10% conversion rate for this particular coach was 17 sales at $2,500, which is a nice, respectable 42.5 grand for 90 minutes work. Not bad, and I'm quite sure that some of you even might chew their hand off to get that. But what does this actually mean, 10%? What this means is that by the time that the pitch was delivered, 170 people heard it. 10% of 170. I'm not that great at math, but I think that's 17 sales. Now, there were 385 people attending at the beginning of the webinar. So that means that by the time that they heard the pitch, there was a 55% drop in the amount of people that heard the pitch. Now, if more people hear the pitch, that automatically, if the conversion rate stays 10%, automatically will go up. So that's the first thing. Like, what do you need to do to make sure that people hear the pitch? And this is where we started analyzing the drop-off rates on the webinar. When do they happen? What is happening at that particular moment in the webinar that might make people leave, and then tweak it and test it for the next week. Because if we keep more people there, let's say if we keep 300 people, because you're always going to have people dropping off, but if you have 300 people, you have 30 sales, because we're still converting at 10%, then all of a sudden that number becomes 75 grand. Not bad, from 42.5 to 70,000, just looking at what point in your presentation or your webinar do people really disappear, and how can we solve that? That's a very easy tweak to do, trust me. Okay, but that's not the whole picture yet, because of those 385 attendees, there were actually almost 2,000 people registered for this webinar. There was 1,830 people registered. So what does that mean? That means that there was only 21% show rate, which in itself isn't really that terrible. However, this was a warmer audience. As mentioned, this is already a successful coach with a big Facebook group and a decent list. So from an audience like that, you should expect at least 50 to 65% show up rate. That's not obscene to aim for something like that. So here is the next thing that we can try to improve, is the show up rate. And this is being done all in between when people register and the actual delivery of the webinar. And in Russell Brunson's perfect webinar sequence, those are the indoctrination sequences, which is a series of emails and a series of pages where you build up anticipation, and you get people fired up that they have to show up live, otherwise they are going to miss out on something. So if you have let's make it easy. We have a 50% show up rate on 1,830 registrants, somewhere around that. So we have about 900 to 1,000 people that are attending. And if we then keep the drop-off rate within respectable numbers, so let's say that we still have 650 people at the stage where the call to action or the pitch is being given. I mean, that's a third. That's not really that's not really unattainable. That's quite doable. Maybe you will even get a little bit more. But if you have that amount of people left at that particular moment on your webinar, then you make 65 sales at 2.5 grand. And then all of a sudden, you have a 6-figure plus webinar, and you come from being happy with a 10% conversion rate and 52,500 sales. With just a few tweaks, you can get to 162,500. And you only have to look at two things. Where do people drop off in my webinar? And in this case, the pitch was too late. It was too late in the webinar. And if you wait too long, if you make your webinar too long, people will they will lose attention and they will go. Like, we are living in a society where nobody has time for anything anymore, and keeping somebody engaged for an hour is already a big feat. So you really need to start pitching within 60 minutes in your webinar. And there are elegant ways to do that without being salesy. And if you have good content and a good product, like in this case, that really shouldn't be a big hurdle to overcome. So that's the first tweak. And the second tweak is making sure that you have a very good pre-webinar post-registration sequence. It's very well explained in, I think it's in .com Secrets, in that book, or maybe even in Traffic, not Traffic Secrets, in Expert Secrets, I'm not sure. But if you have the perfect webinar, and I mean, go to Perfect Webinar Secrets, I think it's $7 to buy. I mean, if you can't invest $7 in getting not only the script but also the funnel, and get an explanation on how to increase your show rate, come on. I mean, that's like what, a latte in Starbucks now. So with these two tweaks, you can turn a not too bad into an absolute stellar 6-figure plus webinar. And obviously, if you can lift even these numbers here, then automatically everything exponentially keeps going up. So I hope that you enjoyed this and that you learned something from this. If you have any questions, just hit me up in the comments below, and I'll be very happy to answer them. See you later.